We're going to begin our Chapter 2 chapter practice. This is going to be on page 79 and 80 in your textbook. You'll notice that in your textbook it's broken up into the 4 different sections. We covered 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. And so if you're working on that section, you can always refer back. If you're working on that section in the chapter practice, you can refer back to that section in your chapter, and that should be able to help you with it. Also, you know that you're allowed to use your book on the test. These tests are not as simple as they used to be with Go Math. Even, they're a little bit more challenging. So take your time, work on it. There's 12 questions on the test. My plan is for 10 of them to be the actual test. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grade the test, see if there's any that stand out to me that people really struggled with, and I will not include those on the test, but there will be 10 of them included. So try all 12, and if there's 2 that I say, these are the ones that I think people are really struggling with, those will be extra credit on the test. All right, let's go ahead and get started on page 79, looking at number 1. It says to complete the equation. This is a review of our number properties. So first thing we need to do is we need to fill in the blank here. So 56 times what times 0 equals 0. We know if we multiply by 0, our answer is 0. So we look at our different possible properties here, and we're looking for one that has to do with multiplication. And we're looking for something that has to do with the idea that if you multiply by 0, you get 0. And so that's going to be the multiplication property of 0. Remember, at any time you can stop the video and review. All right, number 2. 8 plus, and notice we have parentheses, 242 plus 32 is equal to 8 plus, parentheses, 8 plus 242 plus, and since we have the same numbers in the same order, we're going to keep the last 2 numbers. What changed? The order did not change. The grouping changed. And remember, grouping is the associative property. It's like who you associate with, who's in your group. It's the associative property of addition because it's adding, not multiplying. Remember, the associative property we use it in multiplication and addition. All right, we're going to use the distributive property here. So we have 8 times 64. Remember, we're going to break down 64 into its 2 parts. We want the tens place and we want the ones place. So we're going to have 8. Let me type this out. 8 times, I'm going to put parentheses, 60 plus, apologize for that. 60 plus 4, and then we're going to end our parentheses. So we just took 64 and we broke it down into 60 plus 4. Now we've got to actually distribute 8 across 60 and across 4. So we're going to say that equals 8 times 60, that's our first one, 8 times 60, and since it's addition, we're going to say plus, remember it's not just times 60, it's not just 8 times 60, it's also 8 times 4. And I think I showed y'all on the board, like we were doing 64, if we multiply the 8 times the 4, we would also be multiplying the 8 times the 60. And just regular multiplication that you're used to. So 8 times 4 in parentheses. All right. Now we've got to solve that. So 8 times 60 is 240. And 8 times 4 is 32. And when we add those together, wow, it's running out of room here. Well, when we add those together, let's see if I can get on here and go across. It's not going to let me. Anyway, if you put equal sign right there, You get whatever you get when you add 240 plus 32. Obviously, it did not like me taking this much room doing this. So I'm going to back it off a little bit. Y'all see it there. Hopefully you got a chance to write that down. So it's going to be I hope I said that right. 480, 480 plus 32, which is 512. There's a chance I said that incorrectly. If I did, I apologize. Okay, so 60 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Put that 0 on the end because it's not actually 8 times 6. It's actually 8 times 60. We get 480 plus 32, which is 512. Let's see if I can simplify this next one a little bit more. All right, so it's 57 times 9. And because the commutative property, we can flip this around and we can say 9 times 57. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 9 times 50 plus 9 times 7. And I don't think I have room to type that, so I'm just going to type it like this. I'm going to say 9 times 50 plus 9 times 7. So there I've got you see the 57 right there. I think you can still see it. I've multiplied it by both the 50 and by the 7. That's going to equal 450 plus 63, and that will equal, hopefully it'll let me fit this in here, 513. Yay, let me fit it. Okay. So on that time, I just skipped the part where I did 9 times 50 plus 7 because it wouldn't let me fit that in there. But you can still see it here. It's still 9 times 50 plus 9 times 7. Again, it's plus because these two things are being added together. We can also do it with subtraction, but we're not going to do that. Moving on to number 5. We're going to use a property to find the product. Anytime you have something like this, you're more than likely looking at the distributive property, okay? Because what they're wanting you to do is just like we did on the other two. We're going to say 3 times 90 plus 3 times 2. So if it'll let me do that, I'm going to try. So 3 times 90 plus 3 times 2 equals, okay, see, I broke the 90 up into 90 and 2. So 3 times 90 is 270. And 3 times 2 is 6. If we add those together, we get 276. Like I said, you can stop that and look at it if you need to. We know it's not associative property. There's no parentheses. We know it's not the multiplication property of 0. There's no zeros. It's not the commutative property of multiplication, which would mean we changed the order because we didn't change the order. So they're just wanting us to break it down and solve it using the distributive property. Number 6. Something should just pop out to you right away, and that is the 0. So it's going to be the multiplication property of 0 because we're multiplying by 0. Anytime you multiply by 0, your answer is 0. We're going to move on through that one pretty quickly. Use a property to find the sum. Well, if you added these up, you're going to get, and you can do this on your own scratch paper, but I'm going to go ahead and put the answer. You get 94 if you add them together. What they're wanting you to do is notice that it would be good to move that 13 and 57 together. So let's do that. So if I switch the places, I move 24 and 57 around, that does not change my answer at all. My answer will still be the same. The order is different, but I'm going to get the same answer. It's just like 1 plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 1. Why do they want you to move these two together? Because when you add 13 plus 57, you get 70, okay? So when you get that 70, then it's easier, oops, delete. when you get that 70, it's easier to add something to it because you've got something that ends in a 0. So that makes it easier to do. So we get 94 as our answer. So what did we do? We changed the order of these two numbers, right? We moved them. When you move two things around, that's called the commutative property. You can do that in addition and multiplication. You don't have to do that to add it, but it's just a way to make it simpler. All right, number 8. You'll notice on here it says the graph shows the number of votes each apple received, how many people were surveyed. And so an apple represents 4 votes. So this is 4, this is 4, this is 4, this is 4. This is half an apple, so that would be 2 votes. Okay, that's what they're trying to show you there. So if you look in your book, this is one we did together on, let's see if I can find this. If you look in your book, I'm sorry, somebody came to the door. Give me just a second. On page 58, there's an example of this that we did with the smiley faces. And so that might be something that would be helpful to you if you want to look in your book and see how we worked it out. Okay, so if we're talking about the Fuji apples, we have, we could do it a couple of different ways, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 times 4. We could do it that way. That's 18 apples. If you notice here, it's 4, 4, 4, 4. That's 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 more is 18. 4, 4, 4, that's 12. 4, 4, 4, 4 is 16. So we've got 18 plus, wow, sorry, 12 plus 16. And that's going to equal 46. Oops. 46. What you're really using here is the distributive property, because what you're saying is 4 times 4.5 apples plus 4 times 3 apples plus 4 times 4 apples. And so you multiply 4 times the number of apples that are represented here. Each apple represents 4 votes, and when you multiply those things together, so 4 times 4.5, 4 times 3, 4 times 4, so you multiply each of those things, and then you add them together. Anytime you multiply and then add, that's the distributive property. Distributive property you could also add and then multiply, but it goes both ways. All right, so let's move on down to order of operations. I'm going to keep going, otherwise this video will be forever long. Remember that we do operations in the parentheses first. So we're going to have 18 times whatever 9 minus 3 is, which is 6, divided by 2. Okay? So now we've got it to where we have multiplication and division. Remember, we do multiplication and division. They're just as important as each other. There's not one more than important. We just move left to right. So first we're going to do is 18 times 6, which gives us 108. And that's going to be divided by 2. So that's going to equal 54. I know I'm going fast. I know you'll need to work it out. But the main thing is, do you see the order of operations? If you need to stop it, you can. No parentheses this time. So we don't have to worry about parentheses, and y'all don't do exponents in 5th grade. So we're just going to look at our operations. We have subtraction, division, multiplication. So remember, we always multiply and divide before we add and subtract. So we've got to deal with these two first. And we're going to do whichever one we come to first, going from left to right. And we come to this first. A lot of times people think, well, I'm going to multiply before I divide. Not if there's no parentheses. You have to follow the order. All right, so we've got 50 minus 8 divided by 3, which is 6, times 7. Okay, we're going to see what that equals. So now we've resolved the 18 divided by 3. It's now a 6. So now we have subtraction and multiplication. Out of those two, multiplying happens first. We're going to say 50 minus 42, and that equals 8. You could do it another way, but you're going to possibly get the wrong answer. So you need to follow the order of operations, the rules that have been established. Number 11, parentheses first. All right, we know that. So we've got 36 plus 14, that is 50. So I've taken care of the parentheses, and I've got 50 times 4 divided by 5. Okay. So I've got multiplication and division. They're equal in importance. I'm going to just go left to right. So that means I'm going to do 50 times 4 first, which is 200. So 200 divided by 5 equals 40. All right, that's the front. Let's move on to the page 80. Which expressions have a value of 6? So you're looking at all those and you're seeing which ones, if you work them out following the order of operations, would have a value of 6. So looking at this one, for instance, we have addition and multiplication. We're going to multiply first. You could probably do this in your head. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. That does not have a value of 6. All right, look at this one. We have multiplying and subtracting. So we're going to multiply. We always multiply and divide before we add and subtract. So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. That's one of the right answers. There's 3 that are right. All right, notice this one. We have subtraction, division, and addition. So we're going to divide first. So we're going to have 70 minus 6 plus 5. If you need to write that down, you can. I don't have a way to do that on here that I know of. So 70 minus 6 divided by 10 plus 5. So that would be 70 minus 6 plus 5. All right, so we'd say 70 minus 6, which is, hold on a second, so 70 minus 6 is 64, plus 5 is 69. So it does not have a value of 6. Okay, parentheses, 6 minus 2, we've got to take care of that. 6 minus 4, which is 2, we've got to take care of that first. So then we have 7 times 2 minus 8. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. All right, that one works. Parentheses first. 0 plus 6 is 6. So we'd have 12 divided by 2 plus 6. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Doesn't work. Oh, just said it doesn't work. All right. We have addition, division, and subtraction. So we're going to divide first. 8 divided by 2 is 9. So then we have 8 plus 9 minus 11. So 8 plus 9 is 17. 17 minus 11 is 6. So that one does work. Work those out. If you have scratch paper, that would be good to do that. All right, moving on to number 13. We're going to enter the words as an expression. So multiply 8 by the difference of 54 and 49. Remember, difference means subtract. So we're going to say multiply 8 by. So that means 8 times the difference of 54 and 49. So I'm going to put that in parentheses. 54 and 49. Let's see. So we're going to say the value of the expression is 8 times the difference of 54. Well, I bet you could say and 49. You could also say the value of the expression is 8 times 54 minus 49. Let me do that. 8 times. I don't know. I'm more comfortable with the other, but either one could work. The value of the expression is 8 times. No, that says something different. I think I'm going to leave it the way I had it first time. The difference, because I don't want you to say 8 times 54 and then subtract 9 from it. So that would be different. All right. Yes, I like that. We're going to leave it like that. All right, let's try the next one. Subtract 58 from 94, then divide by 4. So it's not going to be 58 minus 94. It's going to be 94 minus 58. Because you're subtracting 58 from 94. So that's what we have first. And then we're going to take that whole thing and we're going to divide it by 4. So we would say the value of the expression is the difference, 94 minus 58 divided by 4. I know you're going to have to stop that one, but go back and just look at it. If you need to, go back and stop the video and look at it, write it down. All right, number 15. Your friend buys a bag of 24 party favors and a bag of 16 party favors. She shares them equally among 5 friends. Enter expression to represent the problem. And I think we would all see this here, that she bought 24 of this and 16 of this. So what we're going to do with that is add those two things together. So we've got a bag of 24, whatever they are, and a bag of 16, whatever they are. Doesn't matter, there's some kind of party favors. And we're going to divide those equally between her 5 friends. Didn't ask us to solve it. It just says enter the expression. Now we could solve that and we'd get 40 divided by 5 and we'd get 8. But you don't have to solve that. We're going to write this expression in words. We have 45 plus 7 times 8. So what do we do to the 45? Well, we add 45 to the what of 7 and 8. It's not to the multiply of 7 and 8. It's to the product of 7 and 8. So we add 45 to whatever we get, the answer we get when we multiply 7 times 8. All right, 18 divided by 2, we can get that, and we're going to subtract 5 from that. So we're going to subtract 5 from the blank of 18 and 2. Do you remember what we call it? The answer we get when we divide. That's important here. So when you divide, the answer is called the quotient. Remember, when we add, it's called the sum. When we subtract, it's called the difference. When we multiply, it's called the product. And when we divide, our answer is called the quotient. All right, we're going to evaluate. We have 2 things that are in parentheses. We're going to evaluate both of those and then multiply them together. So the first one is 28 minus 14. So we do 28 minus 14, and that's 14. And we're going to multiply that by whatever 42 divided by 6 is, which I think we all know is 7. Hopefully we know our multiplication facts. If not, work it out. We're going to take 14 times 7, multiply that together, and we get 98. Parentheses inside of our bracket. So we're going to start with the parentheses and work our way out. I'm going to see if it's going to let me type all of this in here. We'll see. So I've got my brackets. I'm going to keep those brackets for right now. And 21, we're going to take care of the parentheses first. 21 minus 9 is 12. And then we're going to keep the rest of it divided by 3. And then we have our end brackets. That's going to equal something. So we still need to take care of that, what's in the grouping symbols. So we have 6 times 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 6 times 4 equals 24. Remember, you can stop and look at it, think about it. So we started with the parentheses first. We did that, divided that by 3. That gave us 4. Multiply. We've got 2 sets of parentheses inside our brackets. We're going to start with inside of our brackets, inside the parentheses. So we've got 2 times 2, which is 4. Then we've got plus 10 divided by 5, which is 2. We're going to close our bracket, and we're going to take that whole thing and multiply it by 4. See what that equals. So 4 plus 2 is 6. We have 6 times 4, and our answer is 24 again. All right, I hope that review's been helpful to you. Make sure you get that done before you take the test. Take the test. Again, please use your book. If you have any questions on the test, you can feel free to ask me. I want you to just try them all. I know you're not here with me. I'm not gonna. I want you to try. I will tell you that I'm not gonna. I will grade it. I will see how hard you tried, and if I see that you really gave it a lot of effort, I will really appreciate that. Know that I will probably give us a chance to look at it again after we get it back, but I need you to take it before you come back. Okay, I want you to do it on your own, because with all the craziness we've had going on with COVID, you might be having to do some of this on your own. So I hate it, but try as much as you can to do it independently, and then Miss Old Ag is here to back you up and help you in any way that I can. Love y'all guys, and I will talk to you later.